The trial of Martin and Gerald Thornton, accused of the attempted murder of their next-door neighbour, Alexander Reed, was adjourned yesterday when an important prosecution witness, Mrs. Madge Gorman, failed to appear in court. Earlier, the court had heard from William Johnson, Reed's employee and lodger, how an argument in a public house had led to Reed's being shot by Gerald Thornton and so seriously wounded that he is semi-paralysed and has lost his power of speech. Mr. Lotterby, counsel for the Thornton brothers, has alleged in cross-examination that it was in fact Johnson who threatened the Thorntons with a shotgun and, in the ensuing struggle, accidentally shot Alexander Reed.
Mrs. Madge Gorman.
Madge Gorman has now been traced by the police and brought to court.
What is your religion?
Roman Catholic.
Take the book in your right hand and read aloud the words on the card.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You're Mrs. Madge Gorman of 25 Station Road, Fulchester.
Yeah.
And what is your date of birth, Mrs. Gorman? The date and month will suffice. Your birthday, that is.
December the 15th.
One moment, Miss Date. Mrs. Gorman. Mrs. Gorman. I should like to know why you were not present in court yesterday when you were called.
I forgot, sir.
You forgot. Mrs. Gorman, would that injury to your face have anything to do with it?
Well, yes.
Mrs. Gorman, has that injury anything to do with this case?
No.
You're sure, Mrs. Gorman?
Yeah.
Very well. Then I must tell you that I take an extremely dim view of your absence yesterday, and I shall have to consider whether I ought to punish you. Do you fully understand that?
Yes, sir.
Very well. You may continue, Miss Date.
You said, Mrs. Gorman, that your birthday was December the 15th. That is the night that Alexander Reed was assaulted. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes, miss.
Now, can you tell the court in your own words just what happened on that night?
We were going to have a drink together.
Who was?
Me and Sandy. Sandy Reed. And Willie Johnson.
To celebrate your birthday, I presume.
Yeah, but we usually had a drink of a Friday anyway.
Go on.
Well, I went to Jimmy Foreshaw's.
To the Grapes public house?
Yeah, the Grapes. I got there about 8:30.
And were Reed and Johnson already there?
Yeah.
So you joined them for a drink. Was anyone with you?
Not then. Just the three of us. Then Willie saw Jerry Thornton at the bar and he came over to join us.
I take it that you already knew Gerald Thornton.
Yes.
How long had you known him for long?
It's hard to say.
How long?
Well,
you knew him for a matter of months, perhaps, or longer.
Longer. 3 or 4 years, I suppose.
And his brother Martin, did you know him before that evening?
Yes, miss.
So the Thornton brothers were old friends of yours, in fact?
Yeah.
Do you see them in court today?
Yes, miss.
Would you point them out, please?
Them two in the dock.
And which one is Martin Thornton?
On the left.
Now, could you see the Thornton brothers from where you were sitting in the pub?
No, miss. I was on the inside of the cubicle. Willie told me they were over there.
Johnson could see them then. And was there anyone else with them?
Their ma was.
What happened then?
Martin sent a drink across.
Just for you, or for Reed and Johnson as well?
For all of us. Me and the lads.
Why do you think he did that?
Because it was my birthday, I think.
And how did he know that? Had you told him?
I can't remember.
Do you mean that Martin Thornton knew already that it was your birthday? Is that it? Could he have known?
We could have.
How?
Well, I've known him for a long time.
Longer than you've known Alexander Reed?
Yeah.
Did you meet Reed through the Thorntons? Did they introduce you?
No, I mean, they didn't introduce me. I just sort of got to know him through him living next door to Jerry and Martin.
I see you're a regular visitor at the Thorntons' house.
I used to be.
Used to be?
We fell out.
I see. They do seem to find it very difficult to maintain good relationships, don't they? Now, what happened then after Martin Thornton had sent a drink across for you?
After a bit, they came over and sat down.
Now, were they sociable, or was there anything about their attitude that struck you as odd?
Depends what you mean. Nothing was ever normal between Sandy and them. Anyway, we got up to have a game of darts as soon as they came over.
Who did?
Me and Willie. And their ma got up too.
You asked her to play with you?
No, she just sort of assumed. I suppose that was funny, because normally speaking, she can't stand my gut.
She can't stand your guts. Why is that, do you think?
I don't know. I suppose it's one of those things. You take a dislike and that's that. There was no skin off me as far as I was concerned.
So the three of you got up to play darts, leaving Gerald and Martin Thornton sitting at the same table with Alexander Reed. Isn't it a little difficult for three people to play darts?
Oh, we got another fella to make up the four. He was over at the board.
And how far is the dartboard from the cubicle where the others were still sitting?
The other end of the bar.
Could you see or hear anything of what was happening at that table?
No, it was pretty busy and there was a lot of people in the way. Any road, I was concentrating on the game.
You're a keen darts player, I take it.
I play for the women's team and the mixed.
Now, how long did it take, this game of darts?
I don't know. The usual time, about 10 minutes, I suppose.
Did you notice anything unusual when you returned?
They seemed to have been having a row. When Mrs. Thornton went to sit down, Jerry picked her drink up and passed a remark.
What remark?
I don't remember.
Now, could you try?
I think it was something about being fussy about who he drank with.
They weren't being sociable anymore.
No, they were daggers drawn.
I see. And then?
Sandy said, drink up and let's go.
Did he say why he wanted to go?
No, but he seemed to be in a bit of a temper about whatever had been said.
And what was Johnson's condition at this time?
He didn't seem any different. Both of them was in a bit of a mood anyway, but I put that down to the row. And they seemed to be in a bit of a hurry to get back, that was all.
Now, why do you think they were in a hurry?
I don't know. I presumed it was something on the telly they wanted to get back for.
Did you go straight back to Reed's house?
Yeah, we watched the telly.
Without visiting or in any way entering the Thorntons' house on the way?
We went straight back.
Now, did you happen to notice whether the Thorntons were back as you passed or not?
No, we were coming from the other way. We just went straight in and watched telly and had another drink.
For how long?
About half an hour. Then Martin started banging on the door.
Now, how did you know it was Martin Thornton?
I looked out of the window after Sandy got up to answer the door.
What made you do that?
I heard voices.
Shouting?
Not really. Just a bit loud, getting at each other.
What about?
I couldn't say. I didn't stay at the window.
Now, what was your condition at the time, Mrs. Gorman? Were you the worse for drink?
No, we hadn't drunk that much.
And Reed and Johnson?
They were sort of upset about what had happened in the pub, but they weren't drunk. They hadn't had much.
And you'd no idea what the argument at the front door was about?
No, I turned the telly up. They were always having rows like a bunch of daft kids.
Was Johnson involved in these rows?
Not really. We hadn't known him long enough.
Now, what happened then?
Willie went to the window and looked out, and then he went out the back.
Did he say anything?
No.
Did he have anything with him? Was he carrying anything?
No, nothing.
And Johnson, you say, went out of the back. Now, I believe the kitchen leads onto a small porch, and then a second door opens onto the garden. Now, did you see Johnson go through this second door?
No.
Then how do you know he went out of the back?
I heard it close.
Immediately?
What do you mean?
It's a perfectly simple question, Mrs. Gorman. Did you hear the door close immediately, or was there a pause?
No, he went straight through. I heard the door close.
Now, do you have any knowledge of what happened next?
Not right then. Next thing I heard was the two shots.
You neither heard nor saw anything of the argument.
I was sitting down watching the telly.
I take it, then, that nothing in either Reed's or Johnson's behaviour encouraged you to believe that this was anything more than a routine altercation?
No.
How long did the row continue?
Not long. The shots were nearly straight away.
Did the two shots come together, or was there some time between?
More or less one after the other.
How did you react to this?
I was dead scared. I started screaming.
Before you knew what was happening?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Willie opened the door and I could see Sandy lying in the hall all covered in blood. I think I was screaming already. I don't know.
What did Johnson say?
He said, I think San's dead.
Did he examine Reed?
I don't know. He could have. I was in no state to notice.
Did you do anything about Reed?
How could I?
Did Johnson do anything?
He was as scared as I was. He didn't seem to want to go near him. He made me some tea and then he went to get the police.
Leaving you alone in the house with the injured Reed?
Yeah.
Did you stay there?
No, I couldn't stand it. I went out the back and over to the Thorntons.
That strikes me as rather an odd thing to do.
I didn't want to stay in the house with Sandy lying there like that. It was the only place. I don't live round that way.
Who let you in at the Thorntons' house?
Ma Thornton. She gave me some whiskey.
Mrs. Thornton was still up and about?
Only for a bit. She was shook too and she went to bed. She was in a worse state than I was.
Were Gerald and Martin Thornton in at the time?
I think they were in the kitchen talking.
But you didn't see them?
No. I heard voices, though.
And where were you at this time?
I was in the bedroom with their ma.
What happened then?
Then the police came and started asking us all questions. Then they started to search the house looking for the gun. And then something happened and they had to go outside. And...
Go on.
Jerry came in and put his hand under the mattress on his ma's bed and...
Now take your time, Mrs. Gorman.
He had a gun. He'd hidden it under the mattress.
What did he do with it?
He put it in the wardrobe where the police had already looked. Then the police came back in. They'd been looking around outside, I think. They came back and Ma said they might as well search her bed as well.
How did she say that? What was her manner?
It was like, you've caused enough trouble, you might as well go the whole hog.
She was taunting the police, you'd say?
Yeah.
So the police searched her bed and found nothing because the gun had meanwhile been removed to the wardrobe. That's correct.
Yeah.
Now, did you have any idea what happened to that gun?
No, I didn't want to know.
I can quite believe that, Mrs. Gorman. Thank you very much.